our emasculating ways, the ways that we are controlling, the ways that we make our husbands wrong, the ways that we push our husbands away and build walls around our hearts, and we recognize that those are our behaviors in a relationship, we have to see that in a relationship with a good man, it's those very emasculating behaviors that pushes a good man away. Hello, I'm Karen Seitz, and this is the Happy Wife School. This podcast is for married women to realize that we are responsible for our happiness, that no one and no thing can make us happy, and that our husbands are not the source of our unhappiness. In each episode, I red pill married women to know that we are the problem in our marriages to good men. For the good men, this podcast will wake you up to the realities of your wife's woman ways, to take back the power you've unknowingly given away to her emasculation in a constructive, caring way. Before we dive into today's episode, a couple reminders. My message is meant for common and usual marital issues. My podcast is not intended for abusive, violent, or compulsive behaviors in a marriage that are threatening or dangerous. Also, please take a second to visit my website and learn more about my courses, which offer solutions for married women and good men. You can find the link in the description below. With all that being said, let's get started. The first place that I want to go is really, why do I believe that women are the primary cause of all relationship issues? And to really talk about that, I want to get into the psychology of relationships. And it's important to know I'm not a therapist, I'm a teacher. And everything that I've taught over the last decade has been what I have learned. And I'm so grateful to my mentor, David Cope. And it's been what I've learned through my own experience of life, my own experience of marriage, and also working with clients and teaching clients for, like I said, about the last 10 years. So I'm not a therapist, I'm a teacher. So I have a very different perspective than marriage counseling or even individual therapy. And we're going to get into that a little bit. So why I believe that women are the primary cause of all relationship issues really boils down to understanding, just even just as humans, and then I'll get into the female, the woman part of it, is understanding that I must see myself as the problem in my relationships. I must see myself as the problem in life in order to be the solution. And the reason for that, and what we all know, is that the only person that we have any control over to change is ourselves. And so as long as, and this is what I had to learn in my own marriage, as long as I believe that my husband is the problem and that he's the one that needs to change, that he's the one making me miserable, he's the one making me unhappy, that makes me a victim. And I'm not talking about being victimized or a victim of abuse or a victim of crime. I'm talking about victim mentality. That as long as I think someone else is the problem, whether that's my husband or my mom or my dad or my family or my boss or my job, then there's no solution to change. The only way that we can have change in our relationships, the only way we can have change in life is to see ourselves as the problem, because then we are empowered to be the solution. We all know that we have no control to change anyone else. The only person that we have any control to change is ourselves. And the reason that I am so passionate about women knowing this is, one, that I'm a woman, and this has been my journey and my marriage and my life that has completely transformed the experience of myself, completely transformed my marriage, completely transformed my relationships with my family, is when I can look at myself and know I'm the problem, it's so much simpler, especially in my marriage with good men, because I stop being focused on what everyone else is doing or not doing, and I can be focused on me and my own changes. So the reason that it's so much easier, and I know it's challenging for us as women, my message can be challenging, and how you hear it is, how can you put all the blame on women? I know that can be a challenging pill to swallow, but when we do, it actually makes it so much simpler. And ladies, what we want to understand about good men is their nature. And good men in the comments will speak up and say, yeah, that's me. The nature of good men is that they are naturally kind, they're hardworking, they naturally want to take responsibility, they are thoughtful, they are men of their word, they are men of character. So, as women in a relationship and we're married to good men, when we are willing to look at and acknowledge our emasculating ways, the ways that we are controlling, the ways that we make our husbands wrong, the ways that we push our husbands away and build walls around our hearts, and we recognize that those are our behaviors in a relationship, we have to see that in a relationship with a good man, it's those very emasculating behaviors. It's having our walls up that pushes a good man away. And so, what we do as women being victims in our relationship and blaming our husbands and blaming men is that we take their behaviors of pulling away because of our emasculating behaviors. And we say, see, look at him. He doesn't pay me attention. He's checked out of the relationship. Or sometimes good men are reactive to our emasculating ways and our walls, and they fight back. And we say, see, look at him. He's angry, he's aggressive, and we put the blame on them. But as soon as we're willing as women to look at ourselves and to drop our walls, to outgrow our emasculating ways, what happens is a good man re-engages in the relationship and he feels safe in the relationship, because when we drop our walls and we stop our emasculating ways, then we actually show up in our true nature as women, which is soft and loving and kind. And then a good man feels safe to re-engage. And all of a sudden, and this is what happened for me in my marriage, is all of a sudden the ways that you thought he was checked out of the relationship, or that he didn't care about you, or that he was reacting and he was the one that was angry, then you begin to see the good man that you married. And it makes it so much easier. So I work with women primarily, but I've also worked with men. And what I have learned is it's so much easier for a woman to change in a relationship with a good man, because as soon as she does, it's like 90% of the relationship issues disappear. And all that's left are the normal 10% of issues in a relationship that we can expect, just the normal challenges and ups and downs of a marriage, like family and in-laws, or working together on a budget, or working through challenges of maybe a spouse losing their job, or the challenges of parenting and having kids. But all the relationship issues of feeling ignored, of feeling there's a lack of intimacy, of feeling unappreciated, all of those disappear in a relationship with a good man when a woman drops her walls and changes her emasculating ways. So it is so much easier for a woman in a relationship with a good man to change. So coming back to the psychology of relationships and understanding we have to see ourselves as the problem in relationships if we want to change, is I teach the exact same thing to men. So when men come through my men's relationship course, I teach them the same thing, that they have to see themselves as the problem in their marriage, but they have to see something very different, because men and women are different. We have different issues. So just how I have a woman see how she's the problem in the relationship by being emasculating and having her walls up, what I help a good man to see is how he's unknowingly given his power away to his wife, who is emasculating him, and to pull back the curtain. Because here's the thing, it's not in good men to be emasculating and have the behaviors that we have as women in a relationship. And I really like the phrase, if you spot it, you got it. And what I've learned in working with good men and even in my marriage and relationship with my husband is that good men don't have the emasculating behavior, so it's very, very difficult for them to spot it because a lot of times they might be with a wife who is more covert in her emasculating ways, and she puts on the happy mask like I did, but he's still feeling like there's something off. And so I have to pull back the curtain for good men to help them see all the ways that his wife is emasculating and all the ways she is putting her happiness in his hands, and he feels like he's letting her down over and over and over and over again. So once I pull back the curtain for good men to help them see their wives as emasculating, then it's a good man's responsibility, and then this is also what I teach them, to learn to stand up to his wife in a responsible, constructive way so that he's no longer giving his power away to his wife unknowingly. What good men have to understand is that before they can see their wife in her emasculating ways, that he is actually a victim of emotional abuse. And that's what I had to see about myself in my marriage, is that with my walls up and being emasculating, I was emotionally abusive to my husband. And he was a literal victim. And good men are literal victims, not victim mindset, literal victims to emotional abuse when they're with an emasculating woman. So I have to help them see that. And then once they can see that, then they have to take responsibility. Now that they see it, they have a choice. They can no longer be a victim to it. They have a choice to either stay and navigate the emasculating behavior from their wives and use it as an opportunity to grow and learn and become strong in themselves and reconnect with who they are as a good man. Or they may choose to leave and not want to be and continue in a relationship with a woman who is emasculating. And what I teach good men is that you want to use emasculation as a gift and as a teacher, and that you didn't end up with the wrong woman. I don't know why we're made the way we are, but all women, to a degree, there's a spectrum, all women are emasculating. And so I teach men, you didn't get the wrong wife. The grass isn't greener anywhere else. So they often learn to navigate it and focus on the good things about their wife and then no longer be a victim to the emasculation. It bounces off. But in my experience of working with both men and women, it is so much easier for a woman to change and drop her walls because a good man, all he wants is for his wife to be happy. And once she is, and she's no longer emasculating, and this is what happened in my marriage and what I've seen happen again and again in the people that I've worked with, a good man re-engages, and then you can be in a dance and marriage. And it's not about being perfect, ladies. I'm not perfect. I'm human. As my mentor says often, I'm human. I'm not a machine. So I have to catch myself. I have to catch myself in my what I call my woman ways with my husband. And now that my husband is also strong in himself, he will call me out. And I'm actually really appreciative of it. I have to take a deep breath when it happens because that woman way wants to come up and I want to be like, no, and defend myself. But my husband will say things like, hey, you want to say that a different way? Or, hey, could you ask that in a different way? Or could you say please? Because he's learned to become strong in himself. And that continues to push me to become stronger in myself and continue to evolve as a woman and a wife and continue to grow my own self-awareness so that I can catch myself and be committed to be the best version of myself. So this dance between men and women and understanding the differences in our relationships and how we show up actually becomes a personal growth journey of becoming the best version of ourselves. As a woman, it's knowing who I am in my woman ways, the controlling, the being the B word, putting on a facade that everything is fine when really I'm holding on to resentment and hurt, the double standards that we have as women, making my husband wrong or judging him. Catching ourselves in those behaviors becomes how we build our character. and how we build our integrity as a person and as a woman. And what I've learned is that I need my husband as a good man to help me find the goodness in myself as a woman and my true nature as a woman and bring that to the table. And for my husband and for good men that I've worked with, catching the emasculation or catching your wife and her emasculating ways becomes your personal growth journey to become the best version of yourself and to continue to know yourself as a good man and grow in your strength as a good man. So it becomes this dance together. And that's where the true intimacy in a marriage and a relationship builds, and how you have respect and how you have kindness and care in the relationship. So whether we're men or women, really my message in this is that how we grow as humans in relationships and have healthy relationships is that we have to see ourselves as the problem. And we have different problems and issues as men and women. I know that's not groundbreaking. We all know that we're different. But that becomes the growth, and we have to see ourselves as the problem so that we are not victims and we can be empowered to change. And that's really the bigger picture of understanding the dynamics of relationships and how we have a healthy relationship with anyone in our lives, is being willing to change and see ourselves as the problem. But like I said, it's a lot easier for us as women to see our women ways and to change, because the good men that I know and that we can all agree to and that we all know in our lives, good men just want us to be happy. It's something I share with my clients often when they're starting is go home and ask your husband what he most wants for you. And I say, if I had $1,000,000, I would bet you what he's going to say. And they go and they do it and they come back. And he says he just wants me to be happy. And I said, that's exactly it. That's why we do have those phrases, happy life, happy wife. Or if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Because it's true. All good men want for us as women is to be happy. And when we are, things go well and they're in a harmony. That's why I often talk about it's like as women, we're the sun and men are the earth, and they revolve around our moods and our emotional state in a relationship. So if we're unhappy and we're miserable in ourselves and we're emasculating them and we're making them wrong, well, guess what? They're going to mirror back and respond back to how we're showing up. But as women, if we're happy in ourselves, we feel good about who we are. We're being kind and we're committed to having integrity and character in our marriage or any relationship. A good man revolves around that. And then we see his kindness and we see his care and we see his character and integrity as a good man. It's so much easier. It's so much easier for us as women to change. The next place that I want to talk about is, why do I call myself the happiness expert? Well, everything that I am sharing about relationships and what I've learned in my marriage and my journey out of being an emasculating woman. And like I said, I'm not perfect. I have to catch myself and I have to commit and I have to continue being on this journey of growing. But my whole journey out of being emasculating and having my walls up is what I actually call the journey of being happy. And how I define happiness, which everything that I teach is what I have learned through my mentor, David Cope, over the last decade, who I'm incredibly grateful for. And then also his partner, Peggy Litt, who is also a mentor of mine. Without them, I wouldn't have learned any of this. And I would still be very, very, very stuck in my life and very unhappy. But they taught me how to be happy. And how I define happiness is it's not a feeling. It's not an emotion. It's not gratitude. It's not even joy or pleasure. Happiness is having a healthy relationship with ourselves. It's feeling good about who we are on the inside and being on a path of growing and learning into the best version of ourselves, which is an ongoing life journey, which builds internal self-value. And so the reason that as a woman, I had the issues I had in my marriage and with my husband, and I was emasculating and had walls up, is that I had an unhealthy relationship with myself. And that was another duh moment that I had, was like, duh, if I have an unhealthy relationship with myself, how am I supposed to have a healthy relationship with my husband or anyone else in my life? And so I was taught how to learn to feel good about who I am and build my value internally, so that I stopped looking for it outside of myself and my husband and in other people in my life or in my career, and I found it in me. And it was from that place that then I could actually have a healthy relationship with myself and with my husband and other people, because I had that with me. And so I teach the journey of being happy as the solution to our relationship issues, that it's learning to have a healthy relationship with yourself, that then you can have a healthy relationship with others. And as I began to understand happiness and become happy and teach others how to be happy, I began to recognize that the experts in happiness, or the people that taught about happiness, while said some really good things and wrote about some really good things, didn't actually understand what happiness is. And I can see that even in people like Jordan Peterson, who talks about the goal isn't to be happy. I respect him very much, and he has some incredible perspectives, that and some things I agree with, but I don't agree with at all. Is that now I know he says that because he doesn't understand happiness, and that's okay. That's just been my journey. And so I could start to see that there's a lot of people out there well-intentioned and trying to help others who don't understand happiness, or don't. Another thing I was really big on was trying to be authentic, and realize there's a lot of teachers out there that don't understand authenticity and what it means to be true to ourselves. So I was very fortunate to learn how to be happy from two people who are happy. And that's what I had to realize. You can't learn to be happy from somebody who isn't actually happy. And I've been very blessed to be teaching this path to others for many years now, and that's why I call myself the happiness expert. That the solution really to all of our relationship is to be happy and feel good about who we are, to be building our own character and sense of integrity, not for others or who we think we're supposed to be, but as a journey of becoming the best version of ourselves. And it's through that that then everybody gets the benefit, because we're being the best version of ourselves and living in integrity and character. That's really the path I teach, is the path of being happy and taking responsibility in our lives. And it's very different than therapy or marriage counseling, which teaches us to look at our past and teaches us to look at our upbringing and the things that have happened to us or our parents. And the problem with that is that makes us victims, because then it's somebody or something else that's caused the experience of myself and my life. The only way that we can actually change is to change ourselves and to take full 100% responsibility for the experience of ourselves and our life. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. If you haven't, go check me out on YouTube, Rumble, and X. You can find the links in the description below to connect with me there. For those women listening who know you are the problem and want a path forward to take responsibility and change your own inner turmoil and unhappiness, I have a course for women called the Happiness Program, which is the solution to the unhealthy relationship you have with yourself and the issues and challenges you have in your life and your marriage. You can find the link in the description below to apply for a free consultation with me. And for the good men listening who want a solution to take back the power you've unknowingly given away to your wife, I have a course for you too called the Marriage Rescue Course for Good Men Only, that teaches you how to rebuild your strength and confidence as a good man so that you can navigate the relationship with your wife in a healthy, constructive way. Again, you can find the link in the description below to apply for a free consultation with me. Thank you again so much for listening, and I look forward to talking with you soon.